Well, this has to be the most bittersweet win that the Marlins have had all season long. A fun win, a blowout win, but it comes at a cost. What's up, everybody? It's Justin Perez for the Sunshine Sports Podcast. Happy to be back with you again for another daily Marlins recap. And boy, the Miami Marlins with a massive, massive win, literally and figuratively. A huge win over the Anaheim Angels, a blowout 12-3 result, giving the Marlins their 18th series win of the season, of the 2026 season. Obviously, coming into the series, me and Colin talked about it. This is a must-win series. Unfortunately, because of the debacle in Game 1, couldn't necessarily get a sweep, which would have been beneficial. But regardless, a series win is a series win, and we emphatically closed out this particular three-game weekend set with a bang. The offense is the big story to go through, as 8 different Marlins recorded a hit. And in total, I believe we ended up getting 14 hits on the day, on the afternoon. Kyle Stowers, Otto Lopez, Griffin Conine, Jacob Marcy, and Javier Sanoja each recorded 2 hits. So everybody swinging the bat, everybody making contact, everybody getting on base, just an offensive explosion, for lack of a better term. One that we honestly haven't seen with the Marlins in quite a long time. So definitely welcome and obviously expected. This is not shocking considering the fact that the Marlins coming into this series were facing off against one of the worst, if not the worst we're not starting rotation, but just pitching rotation in general, pitching staff in all of baseball. The Angels are just dreadful. You can make an argument that their pitching is by far the weakest element of their team, and it ended up getting weaker as they traded Jose Soriano at the trade deadline. So the Angels pitching definitely disgusting. Grayson Rodriguez ended up getting the start today for Anaheim, and let's just say we were able to get on him early. We were able to record a 3 spot in the first inning, and we ended up getting a run in the fourth as well. So Grayson Rodriguez, he's been struggling for most of his major league career, and I think that the Angels are trying to resurrect to try to fix his career, but I don't think that's happening because, boy, he was rough, and that was absolutely rough to watch, honestly. And he was pitching against us, and it was kind of hard for me to watch. Just it was brutal, absolutely brutal. This pitching staff is just a mess, and there's a reason we ended up scoring the way we did today. Um, Other than that, Griffin Conine, Javier Sanoja, they each ended up having 3 RBIs. Griffin Conine, his first multi home run game, I believe, of his career, and just incredible. I ended up writing it down: 2-run game, a 2 home run game. The first home run that he ended up having, or that he ended up getting, was a 2-run home run in the fifth inning, and I believe that this was the game changing moment because we were up 4-2, but we really weren't gaining ground. The Angels were, of course, sticking around because, of course, we have to make things harder for ourselves. And I don't know, it was kind of looking like it was going to be one of those games, those games where you were going to have to fight till the very end to win it. But luckily, Griffin Conine launched that 2-run homer in the fifth inning to make the score 6-2. Broke open the game because we would go on a tear after that. But about that home run in the fifth inning, my God, I believe he ended up hitting, like, his bat. The hit ended up coming off 100 plus miles an hour. I think it was 115 miles an hour. That ball was crushed. It was almost like a bazooka blast, if you will. Just incredible stuff. Probably the best home run of the year. You can make an argument for that just because of how fast his bat was going when the ball was hit. Just crazy, and that had no chance to stay in the park. That had absolutely no chance. So that was like a supersonic laser blast from Griffin Conine, and then he ended up adding on to his day with a solo shot in the eighth inning. So these two home runs now tie him for second in the major leagues over the last 30 days uh, for the most home runs over that span. 8 home runs over that span. He's only trailing Wilyer Abreu of the Red Sox, who has 9 home runs over the last 30 days. So that's crazy. Congrats to Griffin Conine on what was a tremendous day. Um, like I said earlier, we started fast with a 3 spot in the first inning. Ended up today was just a weird game, at least to start. Uh, the Angels, I think, they scored the first run in the first inning. Kind of a questionable play there, a questionable call made at home plate. Augustine Ramirez made the start, and he was catching. I'm going to get into that a little bit, but Zach Neto in the top of the first, Miami native Zach Neto with the Angels, double to the shallow center field, and Nolan Shawnell, I don't know how to pronounce his name, but Nolan Shawnell ended up scoring at the plate. Sort of a ticky-tacky moment there. Augustine Ramirez, from my vantage point, Augustine Ramirez ended up tagging Chanel, but the score ended up standing. That was a close call. Only so many different angles that you could get of that particular play. Augustine Ramirez put the tag on Nolan Chanel at the plate as he's crossing home. They said he was safe. They said that Augustine Ramirez did not get the tag in on time. Oh well, it was 1-0. But after that, we ended up, like I said, a 3-spot in the first inning. But this 3-spot in particular was so weird because I believe we ended up loading the bases. But Kyle Stowers ties the game at 1 off a wild pitch that sails behind the Angels catcher and goes up to the wall behind home plate. So Kyle Stowers comes home to score to tie the game, and then Xavier Edwards was able to score to give us the lead, and it was one of the weirdest plays I've ever seen in my life. So Otto Lopez is at bat. He singles to the shallow infield, and I forgot who it was. As a matter of fact, let me look it up. The Angels' third baseman. Who was it? That's right, Denver Guzman. So what ended up happening, Otto Lopez singles into the shallow infield. Denver Guzman, throws to first. Otto Lopez is safe. But then Xavier Edwards is at third. He scampers. So Xavier Edwards goes to third base. After Guzman throws to first, Edwards advances to third base. Then, for some reason, Nolan Chanel, who's playing first base, decided to throw across the diamond back to Denver Guzman, and he ended up overthrowing it badly. The throw sailed wide. Next thing you know, it goes into foul territory past the left field line. And Xavier Edwards, who is still getting up and touching the third base bag, realizes that the ball is out of the play, away. It was thrown away, so he scampers home just in time to give us the lead. It was just so weird. So Guzman throws to first to Chanel. Lopez is safe. Shanuel sees Edwards advancing to third, tries to tag him out, throws it away. Edwards comes home, and because of that, Otto Lopez is able to advance from first to third. Just a weird moment in the game. And then Owen Casey singled to send home Otto Lopez to make it 3-1 in the first. So a weird first inning, a 3-spot. And then, of course, we have the 6-spot in the 5th inning that began with that crazy Griffin Conine home run, 115 miles per hour off the bat. After that, Javier Sanoja added 2 more runs with a single. And then Kyle Stowers had a 2 RBI single to make it 10-2. But this was where the fun started to end. So the game's at 10-2. Game is put away. Result already locked down. But Kyle Stowers ends up injuring his right hamstring. And it was at this particular moment where you could feel all the air come out of Lone Depot Park. You could feel the air come out of the Marlins dugout. And to be quite honest, all the air was taken out of me. And honestly, it's still something that I'm thinking about and that everybody should be thinking about because obviously Kyle Stowers has been one of our best bats in recent times. I actually saw it here. There was a tweet that I saw that I wanted to bring up. So yeah, so Kyle Stowers, just an awful break. So Kyle Stowers in his last 15 games had an OPS well over 1,000, and he also had an 869 OPS in his last 30 games. So in his last 15, the OPS is over 1,000, and his last 30 games, OPS sits at 869. So you lose one of your best hitters off of a freak moment, a freak injury, where Kyle Stowers singles, he sends home 2 runs to make it 10-2, but he's grabbing his right hamstring at first base, and you could see his reaction. It was not pleasant. It was not pretty, and he ended up having to get escorted out of the game. Did not come back. We do not know the status of Kyle Stowers. Hopefully he'll be all right. Just saw there's a tweet from Kyle, from Kyle Seeloff here. Kyle Seeloff literally just tweeted 2 minutes ago, 5:27 p.m. Eastern Time. Excellent series victory. Hope for the best for Stowers. He was going really well. Big series begins on Tuesday night against Pirates. 43 to go and 2.5 back. So that's the status, of course. Kyle Seeloff. You see it right there. That's the tweet. We don't know what goes on with Kyle Stowers. We do not know what his status is, but he left the game, unfortunately, with that hamstring injury, and it kind of tears you apart. It tugs at your heart a little bit because, obviously this season Kyle Stowers missed some time because he ended up having an oblique strain, his left hamstring. So then he comes back, lights up the joint, and then unfortunately gets hurt again. Just rewatching the replay here. Yeah, he felt it right away, scampered to first, and then as soon as he scampered back to first, he sort of hunched over a little bit, clapped his hands once out of frustration, knew something was wrong with his hamstring, and that was it. Maybe you guys can see it here a little bit. Oh, there it is again, Miami Heat post. But yeah, here it is, scampers to first, and then you can see the frustration there. Sorry for that. That's one of my least favorite features of Twitter is just like Instagram. It literally just goes to the next post. But yeah, you can see it there. I'll play it again so you guys could see one more time. Lower the volume down. Here it is again. You see him scampering to first. And yeah, he knew something was up. So unfortunate moment there. Hopefully Kyle Stowers is okay. We will see the scenario with him. Hopefully he's not out for too long because we need him. But getting back to the positive stuff, the 12-3 win, great, and we ended up posting our most lopsided series victory of the season, as the 12-3 win ended up giving us a plus 15 run differential in this weekend series, despite losing the first game. So very cool, very, very good stuff. Back-to-back games where the offense gets into a groove, gets into a rhythm. Obviously, the offense has been the biggest, reason for why we have been struggling for so long, for why we have been struggling pretty much ever since the Cleveland series back in July. So hopefully this is the start of the offense getting back to where they were, getting back to being productive, getting back to just getting people on base and putting together runs. Again, you need to score. The only way you win is if you score more than your opponent. That's it. That's the same way in basketball, same way in football, same way in hockey, and it's this way in baseball. You cannot win unless if you outscore your opponent, and in baseball, you can't score unless if you're driving home runs. The Marlins looks like they're trying to figure that out. They were able to do that successfully in these past 2 games. Hopefully this starts bringing us back, getting us back together, getting us back into that mojo that we were, back in June. So hopefully the offensive production keeps continuing at this pace, and hopefully we keep scoring because we're going to need it. And a fun stat here, so the Marlins offense in the Atlanta series scored a total of 6 runs in 27 innings. And obviously, today we ended up scoring 12, I believe near 30 runs, if I'm not mistaken, a little bit over 30 runs. Didn't do the math, but regardless, a huge discrepancy in the runs scored compared to the Atlanta series and this series. I know that we were facing off against a pretty bad pitching staff, but again, just if hopefully this will give these guys confidence to get back into the swing of things and keep producing at the level that they were, because we're going to need it. What we saw today, we got to see this the rest of the way if we want to get back into a playoff spot. So good job by the bats. Pitching wise, finally, as we're transitioning, so the pitching wise, Ryan Gusto with an okay start, only pitched 4 innings. He did give up a run in both the first and the second innings, but was able to stay calm, was able to stay composed, did his job. He pitched for 4 strikeouts, only gave up 3 hits. But yeah, so solid stuff. Again, an abbreviated start. We all know that when Ryan Gusto starts, it's more of a bullpen game, and today that ended up being the case, unlike his last start where he ended up giving us 6 innings. This one was more of the typical Ryan Gusto start. Comes in for 3 or 4 innings, comes back out, and then the bullpen takes over and finishes the job the rest of the way. And that's what we saw today. So Gusto with 4 innings, then Mikey Peterson comes in for the 5th, gets the win after tossing for 2 strikeouts in that 5th inning. So he gets the win, bumps up his personal record to 2-2. And then we ended up seeing Tyler Zuber, Calvin Fauché, and Victor Vodnik take innings 6 through 8 respectively, each getting an inning, each not allowing a run, and the trio combined for 5 strikeouts. So good stuff. By the way, I like what we saw from Vodnik, definitely better than his last outing. Obviously, I know his last outing in Atlanta was not entirely on him because he came in the game with traffic on the base paths, but the fact that we were able to see a clean inning from him today in the 8th, great stuff from him. And then Josh Eknes tosses the 9th. He allows a run, but he posts a strikeout. A way better outing from him after he choked in the first game of this weekend series. So good stuff from him all around. Now, defensively, I want to point out Augustin Ramirez started today behind the plate, and he caught the first 4 innings before Joe Max subbed in for him in the 5th when Mikey Peterson came out of the bullpen. But I want to say this. Augustin Ramirez, great performance today. Caught well behind the plate, did his job, did not make a mistake, and he ended up also, by the way, I forgot what inning it was, but he was up to bat, and he showed solid patience at the plate after being down 0-2. I believe he drew a walk, but just to be able to stay the course at the plate, come back from an 0-2 count, show discipline, show patience at the plate, that was big. So ended up drawing a walk, ended up coming back, and like I said, he ended up having a good game today, catching behind the plate for Ryan Gusto. No pass balls, no mistakes, did a solid job. Not much more you can ask from him than what we saw today. Good job by Augustin Ramirez for hanging in there and giving us a solid 4-inning look at his skills behind the plate. Hopefully he continues to transition. Hopefully he could be a solid option as a backup catcher for us, because we're going to need that from him. Because obviously I've been noticing that Joe Mack, he's been kind of, he's been getting a little bit more time off than usual. Gets a day off here and there. So, for whatever games that Joe Mack doesn't start, we're gonna need Augustin Ramirez to be like he was today. So good stuff from him. And then one last thing before I end this recap: the errors have been a massive problem all season long, and we ended up seeing 2 errors today. This ball club looks like the youngest ball club, or one of the youngest ball clubs in baseball, both positively and negatively. Like, it's just, man, the errors in this game, just egregious, and this team continues to show that they're a young ball club. Just a lot of stupid mental mistakes, a lot of bad errors, and we saw 2 today. So Javier Sonoja ended up recording his 11th error of the season. and his ninth at third base in the second inning. Just a ground ball coming to him at third base, and he mistakenly kicks the ball while trying to pick it up off the floor. I don't know how you kick the ball, but it is what it is. Luckily, that didn't hurt us. But Javi, come on, man. Like, we're not playing soccer. You know, we're not playing kickball in gym class. Come on, man. Like I get it. It was a mistake, but there's only so many mistakes that you can make, man. And his ninth error at third base this season, that's egregious. So it's just bad stuff. And then Otto Lopez committed his 17th error of the season. 17. A throwing error where Kyle Stowers failed to get a clean pick in the third inning. I believe that Kyle Stowers was the throw great? No, of course not. But you're an MLB guy for a reason, Kyle Stowers. You got to make that pick at first base. You have to do that. Did not. And Otto Lopez gets an error. So, like I said, that happened in the third inning. So the errors continuing to be a problem for this team. They literally act like they're one of the youngest teams in baseball. I mean, they make so many stupid mistakes on a day-to-day basis that it makes you wonder if these guys even know what the hell they're doing. But, fortunately, did not pay off. It did not ended up going against us. Everything we did paid off today. The bats, great. We'll see what happens with Kyle Stowers. Hopefully he's all right. I hope he's okay because, like I said, if he's out for any extensive period of time, then we're going to be in massive trouble. So, yeah, man. So, that's going to do it. That's it. Marlins win 12-3. They post their most lopsided series win of the season. Great stuff. Hopefully Kyle Stowers is okay. Marlins have an off day tomorrow before we take on the Pirates in a 3-game set starting on Tuesday. We could see the return of Lake Bacher in Miami, but we will see what happens as we near that series. So this is it, guys. Once again, this is Justin Perez for the Sunshine Sports Podcast. Hope you enjoyed this one. Hope you enjoyed the win today, Marlins. Huge stuff. And hopefully we can continue these positive vibes into our next series. Remember, please, to like, comment, share, subscribe. And until next time, if you can't be good, be bad, baby. Take care, everybody.